Well, hi there, warm welcome. This Women's Day, let's stop the platitudes. Let's start with parity, power, and this will lead to progress. In fact, over the next half hour, we will be celebrating not women, but equality.
Did you know India stands at rank 122 in the Gender Inequality Index? And this is out of 191 nations. So this Women's Day, let's cut the noise. Let's talk about what really matters. Many would jokingly ask, आखिर औरत को क्या चाहिए? Let's keep it simple. Equal space, equal say, equal pay, equal opportunities. Why? Because when women rise, the world thrives.
And viewers, did you know that only 10.4% women globally are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies?
But it's not all bad. There are positives too. 47.6% startups in India are actually led by women.
And it's our industry, the media industry, which leads the way when it comes to gender parity and equality. 21% of leadership roles in all newsrooms are held by women.
In fact, that's very interesting because this includes Times Now as well, isn't it? After all, we are headed by Navika Kumar, who is the group editor-in-chief. But then, why do we really need a Women's Day? Many have asked that.
Well, you know, there have been debates around it for quite some time, and even in 2025, this question is being asked because even though we have covered a lot of distance, but a lot still needs to be done. For example, in India, we're about 50% of the population. Our influence as voters has also gone up significantly. That's why we are seeing so many people trying to woo us with women-centric schemes. But still, on the ground, if you see, things haven't changed. There is a very interesting report which says that to fully close this gap, we would need 134 years, which is 5 generations. Can we wait for that? Look at our own Lok Sabha. There are just 74 women MPs when we are talking about 50% of the population, which is women.
Absolutely.
Well, but if I just talk about what happens in our newsrooms, as in when we talk about the domination of women leaders in newsrooms across the industry, you must agree that gender parity is something that possibly the men feel concerned about. But, you know, jokes apart, seeing women in leadership role could always make you believe that there are so many things that you can juggle. As women leaders, I mean, I would talk about us, all of us in our editorial responsibilities at the output desk here at, Times Now, all of us do so many things together. And maybe just to have some fun with our contemporaries, our male colleagues, I don't think they can do half as much as juggling as we do. You would agree?
I agree.
We are multitaskers.
Yeah. Women are multitaskers, and that we have to agree hands down. I think everybody can agree on that. But today and every day, I think we should celebrate women and our determination, our dreams, and our intelligence, and all of it. But while we spoke about women in leadership roles, it's also important to talk about the mindset of a lot of people. Equal opportunities, yes, but also about a lot of people who think, she's a woman, so she'll have a lot of responsibilities at home.
Right.
Can she really handle what's happening, say, in a newsroom, in a company? It's also about men. They also have families, but do people think about that? So that's a question that comes to mind.
But you spoke of juggling responsibilities. I'm, working professional. I'm a mother as well. I have a 4-year-old. Women are multitaskers. If you want, you can do it all. It's not just about celebrating women. Action is what matters. And when women are in leadership roles, especially in a newsroom, it also impacts the choice of news. How we editorialize, or how, you look at a certain, emerging news with that perspective, which only a woman can bring. Equality, parity, all of this, also comes not just in a newsroom, also in what we showcase and put out in terms of the news which we are showing to the people, because we have women, at least in Times Now, in leadership roles.
Very valid point. In fact, one of the top stories that we are covering here on Times Now is the menstrual relief story, for example, which is why perhaps it is good to have all kinds of representation. In fact, over the course of this show, power, parity, progress. That's what we are going to talk about. In fact, all 5 of us, we are going to be panning out across to the newsroom. We are going to be speaking to some of the people as well about breaking these barriers. We are not talking about putting up more barriers. Don't put us on the pedestal. Let us be equal. Well, that is all we are asking about. After all, from office spaces to social media and even films. So let's get started, ladies.
Here we are in the Times Now newsroom where you see news coming, getting processed, and finally the result comes on the camera. So let's also try and understand from the people here who are always working 24/7 as to what is the importance of Women's Day, Pratibha, for them. Let's begin with our national editor, Pranesh. Pranesh, I know you were a bit reluctant initially, but still we would like to ask you, what is the importance of Women's Day in your life? And do you think this one day in a year for women should be celebrated?
You know, let me begin by congratulating all of you. Happy International Women's Day too. And if you just look around, you know, when we say that, you know, women should be empowered, encouraged, it is not just something to say. It's not mere slogan. One cursory glance at the newsroom and, you know, you will see that spirit reflecting in reality. Our group editor-in-chief, Navita ma'am, you know, she leads the team. And I think there are about 5 or 6 men in a group of 30 individuals just on the output desk. Even other departments are, you know, women-dominated. So, and I don't think, I don't agree with this idea that, you know, one day in a year is just tokenism. It is just to underline the importance of women.
Absolutely. And if we look around, just like Pranesh said, there are a lot of women who are driving the newsroom here, and women have scripted success here. Their stories, we're going to be talking about that, and not just behind the scenes, but also on air in different roles, whether it is production, whether it is editorial. So women play a very significant role, but we want to also ask the men about the women and their roles. And I want to talk to Rohit. Rohit, women in the newsroom, and this is one of the many newsrooms where there are more women maybe than men. It is one of the fields where we see a lot of women participation. You've also worked with all the women here.
Well, you know, in fact, in the news industry as well, if you see across all newsrooms, this industry itself is a more women-dominated industry. I've been, you know, even the previous newsrooms that I've worked in, there are more women than men, and in fact, even our Times Network, one of, you know, India's leading news brands, is being led by a woman editor-in-chief. So it goes on to tell you the importance of women, not just in this industry, but this industry is just an example of how, you know, women-led brands are also, you know, just equally popular, equally successful, if not more successful than the brands being led by even men entrepreneurs or, you know, men leaders.
How important is something like an International Women's Day for you?
I mean, to have a day that recognizes the emancipation of women after years of struggle is significant, and I love how all the girls, you know, wear dresses and celebrate the day meant for them. But I do wish, of course, that society's recognition of women is not limited to just one day, that it extends in everyday life, that it pervades every moment of our society.
Interesting. Srishti, do you want to say something? I know you're very, very busy right now making the rundown.
I think rights and importance of the rights in a woman's life is as equal and as important as any other human being, which is very basic: safety, security, respect, conducive environment to live. And I think we should be taking care of that, taking care of ourselves and taking care of others also, so that we make this world a better place to live in.
Absolutely. Pratibha, let's now take our viewers to the other very, very important department.
This is the production department. You just saw the editorial section. This is where the assignment desk sits, and here we have the production. So all the visuals that you see on a screen, this is all done here. It's a buzzing newsroom, so we're going to be disturbing them for just a few moments. Let me speak to Tushar. Tushar?
Women play a very important role. First of all, happy Women's Day, both of you. And as always, tomorrow also in our production NLE team, tomorrow our team will be headed by Meha ma'am. She is Meha ma'am. And Kajal. Kajal, please come here. She is Kajal. So tomorrow morning, our NLE production team will be headed by 2 intelligent women.
What do you think? We should have only one day to celebrate women in our lives, or you think this one day celebration is not something that we really need as women?
I don't think one day is enough for us. Every
You
day
need
we
more days.
Yes.
How many? At least 2, 3 in a year?
Yes.
I think we should celebrate every day as Women's Day.
So this was the production department, viewers, that you just saw. That's our graphics department, where you see all the interesting graphics being made. Let's also talk to a few people here as well. Hello, I know you're on a call, so I'll come to you in just a bit. Sir, happy Women's Day. आपसे जानना चाहेंगे कि वुमेन्स डे का आपकी ज़िंदगी में क्या महत्व है, आपको क्यों लगता है ये दिन बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, और कोई वुमेन जिन्होंने आपको खास करके इन्फ्लुएंस किया?
वुमेन इज़ बेसिकली इट इंस्पिरेशन. जो भी वुमेन है वो इंस्पिरेशन सबके लिए, उसके बिना कुछ नहीं है. दैट इज द एंड एंड स्टार्ट एंड एंड ऑफ द लाइफ.
This is just one newsroom. If you go across industries, you'll see the stories of women in their everyday life, the challenges that they go through, and the achievements that they have had.
So, you know, we've got a glimpse of how the situation is in the newsrooms. And let's also talk a little bit about cinema, how cinema has changed when it comes to portrayal of women. Remember, when we were young, when we were kids, women either used to be damsel in distress, sacrificing mother, or a devoted wife. But today, if you see the kind of films that are coming, they are very different. The women characters that we are getting to see these days, they are flawed. They're not these perfect women, the girls next door that used to be the case at one point in time. They are unapologetic. They are schemers also. Remember Darlings and so many other such films that have come. And the audience also seems to be loving it. Do you think it's perhaps resonating with the people and eventually it's being seen, it's being shown on the big screen, and that's why there is so much of love?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Hina, I am so tired of seeing the perfect woman, the perfect wife, the, you know, doting mother, like as if nothing can go wrong with a woman. And like we said, why is there this need to put this pressure on a woman to keep her on the pedestal and expect her to be flawless no matter what? A mother can get tired. है ना? A mother one day can say, I need a break. I don't want to take care of the kids today. Let the mister do it. I mean, I can, right? A mother can in the same way. So like they would say, films are a reflection of society, and I'm guessing this is the kind of reflection we want to see.
Do you think, Meghna, it's also because we have more women directors, more women producers, and that's why these kind of films are being made?
Representation. It's not just the cast as well as the crew, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned some of the movies, and we see these women in so many different roles. It could be like a boss, it could be housewife, it could be somebody who's working in an office, and we see different shades of women which we see in real life now coming on movies as well, and which is so interesting. There is a lot of chatter around the women and these characters as well, with questions being asked: are women being influenced by the movies being made, or are movies just a reflection of what we are seeing in our everyday life? Whether it is Mrs. There was a lot of chatter about, oh, women are getting inspired by this is ultra feminist movement and whatnot, and some saying that no, this is the reality. This is what we see in several of our homes, even Thappad for that matter. Domestic violence, it spoke about that one incident which makes Taapsee Pannu really question the very foundation of her marriage.
Right.
Right. But you know, just to add something here, we're talking about strong women characters. Do you not think that when, you know, there's a reflection of women in the corporate world, perhaps women in leadership positions, which we were also talking about earlier, if you show strong woman, a woman who is determined, knows how to get her work done, for example, say The Devil Wears Prada, Meryl Streep's character, somehow women are expected to, soften their edges. Otherwise, they are considered, extra harsh. You were talking about Mrs. being, ultra feminist. That sort of unnecessary criticism also comes, don't you all think?
But don't you think maybe we are now slowly evolving? Of course, we are nowhere where to it should be perhaps, but slowly there are these movies. You have Gangubai Kathiawad, where you had, as we were talking about, the big anti-heroine. You had Alia Bhatt having that and depicting it beautifully at that. This is a concept which had started in films in 1920s. It had started in American cinema, where you had the black characters coming out against the white conformities which were there. But look at it today. Today we are a century later. We are still talking about we need the rise of the anti-heroine to happen. There are movies, yes, you have English Winglish, of course, the late Sri Devi, fantastic portrayal of a woman who's grappling to change herself along with the society and the increasing demands which have been happening. But that is one of the things we have to look into. The fact that from here onwards, it's a struggle which has been there for a century now, but the struggle isn't over.
And you would agree, this conversation that has suddenly generated when, say, you're portraying women in more realistic roles with the grey shades. Have you heard of this term and the conversation around toxic feminism?
Yes. I think we've all faced it. We've all heard it. We've all been told about it.
It's rather unfortunate, but again, as we were saying, that it's not toxic feminism. Cinema is just reflecting the reality. For example, I mean, we've just touched upon the topic of this movie. It's been trending, Mrs. This is exactly what happens to women in multiple households in our country, and it's only reflecting the reality. Perhaps people don't want to accept it, and that's why there's this type of backlash.
Pink kind of response it got. And I feel there is a lot more acceptance that is happening in the society. And I feel what our politicians or the corporate people or, those who belong to this India Inc. world, what they are not able to do as far as representation of women is concerned, perhaps the cinema, is able to do that. At least we are seeing that movement happening quickly in the world of cinema, while in the world of politics and corporates, we are still, far behind.
But there's another big realm of life, realm of reality we can perhaps talk about, is the social media. A lot of lives are being played out in social media. So let's go and get a spot check and see how empowerment is actually working there on social media.
Absolutely.
The hashtag is trending, and you know what I'm talking about. Hashtag Happy Women's Day. In a world where social media has become so integral to all our lives, where opinion matters the most in social media, how does the Times Network social media work? And to bring you that, let me add on one more hashtag. I'm going to go to the most hashtag unfiltered person here, and this is Naina, who leads the social media team. Naina, Happy Women's Day. I think every day belongs to us, but let me first ask you about one on a day like this, apart from the wishes and the flowery posts that come in, what is the conversation surrounding women? Subject-wise, what have you seen? What have you noticed? What is the opinion that polarizes people the most on social media with regards to women?
So I spend almost my entire day on social media. So despite social media being branded a platform where you can put out your opinion without the fear of judgment, that isn't the case for women. Like mostly when it comes to expressing your opinion, they are often judged on their appearance, their sexuality, women doing videos, dancing, choti hai, moti hai, nati hai, kali, and I mean all sorts of things that people have to say. So yesterday I was going through a post where a woman expressed her personal opinion, where she said that I'm married, happily married, but I'm just not feeling for my man. And then there were threats, character assassination. I mean, it's a platform. She feels that she can express her opinion, but that isn't the case. And the smallest of things, like something as neutral as sports, business, women have to face more scrutiny as compared to men. So I think it's a long way to go when we say that social media is a safer space for women. I think many more years to come till the time women feel that they can go, express, and to make it a more safer place for women to have their opinions.
So let's actually talk to some more people from Naina's team, and let's actually find out what is the opinion here. Tell me, what do you think are the topics that women are told कि यार लड़कियों को इस मामले में नहीं बोलना चाहिए? What do you think? Do you see that as well on social media or just generally?
Sports, finances. We women generally don't talk about those things. Even politics for that matter. It's not your forte. It's not your space to be. And there are terms like women bosses. They're more quirky, khich-pitch. And then if they're more authoritative, if men are authoritative, that's their nature. But if women are authoritative, menopause ho gaya iska. I mean, those stereotypes are very normal.
We've always heard of these things. So you've seen the diverse opinions coming in. But this Women's Day, we talk about women's safety, we talk about equality. Let's also make it a point to ensure even social media is a safe space for women, where gendered insults are not hurled because a woman shares her opinion in the most unabashed manner. Leaving all our viewers with the wishes of Happy Women's Day. And let's now once again go back to our studios, where we will be back with a very interesting rapid fire round.
Well, that was an interesting conversation. To wrap up, let's do a quick rapid fire. What are the stereotypes that we are talking about which need to be crushed? No longer just talking about breaking these barriers. What are these barriers? Meenakshi?
All right, I'll go first. Something which I've faced in my personal life as well, this idea of being an ideal mother, this ideal motherhood, a woman who has it all together, and end of the day, that responsibility of the baby lies with the mother. You can have a barrage of house helps, nannies, your husband can be sitting right next to you. But if the baby needs something, it has to be the mother. End of the day, the responsibility lies with the mother. I think it's a shared responsibility. And even if your partner shares it, for the society to accept it and not to frown upon it, that is a stereotype I think we need to break.
That's very nicely said.
Yeah,
Saga?
I think, women shouldn't or can't lift heavy in the gym. Neither can they do the heavy lifting at their workplaces. You can give them the leadership role, but the top boss should always be a man. I have heard this, I don't know if you guys have, that a woman can't handle power and, it just makes her too bossy when she's given that kind of a role. I think it's time to just end that.
And we are leading by example,
Absolutely.
aren't we, in times now? Pratibha?
I would say there are so many, but if I have to say one, it would be that women pull each other down, which I don't think is true. I think women are mostly supportive of each other. And also one frivolous one I just want to add, which is that women gossip more. I don't think that is true.
We are being accused of that quite often. Yes, I totally agree with you.
Picking up from what Pratibha said, there is this thing about women. It said that women do not support other women at workplace specifically. I think it's not true. A lot has changed, like we've been discussing since the beginning of the show. And also, they think the perception is that if women are working together in a project or anything, there are going to be catfights.
Yes.
Has there been any ever since we started shooting this? None. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely none. Straightening each other's crowns, as it is called. Well, I think that maybe we should start with the fairy tales. We should forget the fairy tales that we grew up in. Cinderella does not need very uncomfortable glass slippers. Who goes to a ball, who goes out dancing in glass slippers? And maybe she doesn't need that Prince Charming to come and rescue her. Maybe Cinderella is an independent today's woman, says, I'm going to have my own business, my own startup, because the stats are very good for women there. She may have her own startup and have comfortable sneakers as her business.
And she will file her own taxes. She will not need her father for it.
Absolutely. Filing her own taxes, building her own business empire. And she doesn't need Prince Charming for a castle. She'll build her own castle. Let's just stop it there, isn't it? Well, that's been very interesting. So I think all of us can agree on it, that at the end of it all, we don't need platitudes. What we need is parity. What we need is empowerment. And that itself will lead to progress. Not just us, for everyone, isn't it?
Absolutely.
See you then. Thank you so much for joining us.